Alright, what I've done is I've already ripped this out. I didn't go grab the camera to record this, but I drop out the glove box up here. There's a couple screws over on the sides, and then you can just pop it out from here. You gotta release a little rubber band thing that's holds it up, you know? And this is the light switch, or connector there. You pull that out, and then I can drop the whole entire glove box out and get it out of the way. Alright, so then there's a panel in the back that maybe I could have actually got out without doing the glove box, but I looked at some of the other tutorials online. They said, well, you know, get rid of the glove box first, and then I just kept going from there. So at any rate, this will drop down, and then the GM5 module is just sitting here attached to this. What I would recommend is that you take these fasteners out here, because it sits here just on the side like so. Undo this fastener. There's kind of a matching sort of like this little, you know, slot here. Once you loosen this one up, it kind of just wiggles out, and then I would say over here just loosen that one back up a bit, so when you're done you can put this back in, tighten that one up first, and then put this fastener in over there. Okay, so anyway, the reason I'm going back here to show you this, even though I could have just went to the bench and said, oops, I didn't take it out, go look at the other videos on how to get it out of there, is these connectors. So also, when you drop this down, pull this out before you try to get these off, because it's going to be really hard to take these off in the dark and behind there if you don't know, you know, how these things work. Get this thing out, then you can turn the whole thing sideways, and you'll see this fastener, or I mean the connector up here, and they're kind of interesting. There's two of them like this. So what you're going to do is up on the top here, you're just going to press this down, and you know, trying to do it with one hand is a little bit more difficult, but then you'll lift this back or pull this back, and then it will just pry this connector boop, right out of the hole that it goes in. And then the other one right next to it is the same, and for whatever reason they got this weird ass connector right here that sits on, oops, the back end here, and I wasn't exactly sure how I got it to break free, but I kept poking on some of these tabs here, and I could see these back here. They look kind of like they're grips, and you could see these slots right here like it's designed to move. I'm like, I can't see how it works. So I kept poking at these, and finally, you know, maybe I didn't even need to do that. I just didn't want to, you know, refund something I didn't know how it works. You pull this back really hard, and it kind of pries, it breaks free. It's probably a lot easier to do when it's brand new, but after it's set around and got crap all up in it, it was kind of crunchy. Anyways, you pull this back, and then the connector pops out, all right? So there's that. Maybe I'll show you that a little bit more when I go to put it back in. Well, assuming we fix this one or I buy another one. So we'll go take this to the bench, and there's just a couple little tabs right here. We'll pop these in, open the door, and then we'll be able to pull the circuit board out, and then hopefully we can see something obvious. The electronics themselves, the regular solid state stuff, is probably not going to be, you know, anything of any problem. But typically what goes wrong with these is there's some relays inside of here, and those are physical relays. They're not solid state relays, and so they're going to wear out over time. And looking at this right in here, it looks like maybe something spilled on it at some point in time. So anyways, I'm hoping that inside there maybe it's kind of obvious which one or what is bad. And then as a matter of course, if I feel that I can fix it, I'm just going to order all new relays anyways, because anytime you've got something, you know, doing this, if, you know, one of these 10, 20, 30 things that do this go bad, replace them all, especially if they're not very expensive. I think that's just about it. The module itself, I've looked around on eBay. I can get eBay. I looked around on eBay, and I can get it for about $150, it seems like. And so if it's, you know, not going to be worth it to repair it, then just get a different one. So here it is. This is the GM5, which is what, General Module 5, I think that's what it stands for. One of the reasons I want to try to fix this is because from what I understand that these are keyed to your vehicle, and if I can fix it, then I don't have to figure out how to deal with that, and I might be wrong about the specifics there, but you know, I'm gonna go for it anyways. So looking at it, yeah, it does look like it had some crap spilled on it, but you know, I don't think that was me. So it's probably pretty old, which probably isn't the cause of it. yeah, it's a thing in a box. So we'll go ahead and rip this out. There's some tabs right in here, so we'll just push those in. Pretty basic. There's the board. So we should be able to just push this through. Some of there's some catches right here on the side. You want to push those in. I believe. Ouch! 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 Wow, I've been injured. Huh. Well, if you look at that, right there is where whatever that crap was fell on it. So, and if you see this right here, maybe that has something to do with it, actually. So if you look around here, can you see how reflective that is? This is one hell of a conformal coating put on this board. It's grippy, you can tell. I mean, everything is thoroughly coated, and I imagine that's typical for automotive, probably. But this relay right here, I don't know if it's, well, it's damn close to the pad right there. But this is where that spot where maybe something leaked down into it, maybe got in there, and it looks corroded right there. So I'm hoping that this is it. But ultimately, I mean, like I said before, I'm going to get the numbers. Well, so here you go. Here's the numbers on those. And I'm just going to buy them all since it's out, right? I'm sure they're, well, I'm sure that they're probably not very expensive. Now if you look right here, I picked it a little bit and you can see that the solder mask just scraped right off there, so I have to deal with that. Now the conformal coating, if you just squish it, it seems to be easy to pick off of there, or you could just burn through it. Alright, let's see if we can get this off here. So, unfortunately, I do not have my solder sucker. I brought it to my work lab, so we're going to have to do this old school. Go ahead and get the soldering iron going, and we'll see about ripping that thing off of there. Well, this is kind of interesting right here. See how that's wiggling? Whatever that's connected to, well, it's not. It's almost clinging to the soldering iron, so that might be a good sign that something's broken. So I'm trying to put a little bit of pressure on the device. You know, in this case I can pry it underneath the lid there and maybe that's going to work. Other times it'll be like a pair of needle nose or something pulling on a resistor or something. Oh, by the way, that pin that was over here did actually just flop out, so whatever it was connected to has physically broke. Alright, well, I'm getting it slowly here, and if you look underneath, it's really crusty. So that one is looking like it's a real big sign that you know that this is probably the bad one, but they're all going. Also, it looks like this is one of the other pins that has to come out here to come free for this to pop off. Well, it's off now. That was a hell of a lot of work with just the soldering iron, but you can see all the pins here that are anchoring this thing down. And if it sits this direction here, there is a couple pins right here that completely, well, for the most part, broke off but weren't connected. So we'll look up the data sheet and see if those were just anchors or do they matter. They're not big, so I kind of get a feeling that there were more than just anchors. But yeah, so look at all the corrosion around those pins there. And then the board itself here, you can see the solder mask is just flaking away. Look at that there. So there's gonna be a lot of cleanup here. A lot of crap right there. So we're gonna have to put this away for the time being, and I'm not gonna do the other ones there until I get my desolder gun back, because that was kind of a pain in the ass, and you risk the chance of damaging something, pulling a pad up or whatever. I don't want to get this. I'll probably scrape the flaky stuff away, and then I'll just get some spread on solder mask, you know, kind of like a fingernail polish thing or something. We'll see about fixing that. So the saga continues. Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, man. Well, so it has been a couple weeks. It took a little bit to get it, but I do have some packages here. One thing I want to look at first is this one right here. So I do have my China Post. This is going to be my relays, hopefully, that I ordered. And then inside here is a new thing that I want to show you. I don't know if I'll make a video of this or not, but let's see what we got. Ooh. Nice. Cool. So I'm the proud owner of some broken GoPros. These hopefully will be a new collection of mine because of the quads. Oh yeah, look at this. There's a door missing there. Of course this is broken out, obviously, cracked. But they say they don't work. Oh, this is really, really dented up here. I'm going to start collecting a handful of these, and then we're going to get into the guts of them and see if we can do some repairs on them. These off of eBay were about 30, maybe 40 US dollars for two of these. So anyways, I don't know if it's going to end up being a good deal to do stuff like that, but I figured it would be fun to dig into them and see if it works, and see if I can maybe out of, you know, every 3 or 4 maybe get one out of it, because yeah, with the mini quads this is a big potential. So this is the package of interest. These should be the relays that I ordered. The well, I'll bring it up to you here, right? EP2FB3G1S. These are the ones for well, out of the general module 5 for a BMW Z4 2006. I'm not sure, you know, how much, you know, what the similarity is between these and all the rest of the models, but this is the one that I got, the one that I needed. So anyways, this is the one that we ripped out, you know, a couple weeks ago. It was pretty tragic. It didn't work very good with the solder wick and just yanking and pulling on it. So again, I have the solder sucker now, and also the traces here being pretty crapped up. We're going to get that cleaned up after we get all of these out of here. Do I need to change these? I feel like probably not. It's actually kind of a thing I'm sort of sweating, because I'm like, well, do I really need to replace these? They are physical relays, and you know, inevitably things like this are going to go bad. It's not really hard to get at the general module, the GM5, but I'm kind of swaying towards, well, we'll see here in a second. If it's pretty easy to suck these things out of here, then we'll replace them all, because since I'm down there, why not, you know? And let the rest of it obviously exist here. You know, should I replace this cap? I think it's going to be I don't know. I think it's going to be a fair amount of time before I have to worry about that cap drying up, you know. The car will be dead and gone by then, I imagine. Wow, that is wrapped up pretty seriously. Now, I don't remember making this mistake, but these are EP2s instead of EP2F. All the rest of the numbers are the same. Got some different nomenclature over there, but that's might be, you know, locational stuff. I don't know. But if you look at it, so here's these two here. They do look the same. These pins right here broke off while we were desoldering, wiggling around. Everything looks like it's going to match up. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go for it. To get started with this, all I'm going to do is get rid of there's still some pins stuck in holes here. I'm going to do my best to clean these holes all out and then alcohol everything and then see if I can get the new relay in there okay. If that works out okay, then I'll start attacking the rest of them. I think that looks pretty good for at least a test try, so let's grab one and we'll see if it fits. There you go. So it's a little bit tight, but that's okay. That's just the solder around the edges. So it's going to get in there, but we got to clean this up. I'm a little bit worried about that pad. I got to make sure that the solder mask that came off everywhere on the top here, it looks like it's very close to some of these holes that we need to use. Hopefully that's a ground pad. So let's do some cleanup. Okay, let me show you what I figured out here. So one thing that we got to do, just to talk about the project here, so I don't have any overlay pen, you know, like conformal coating in a pen. Sorry, solder mask in a pen. I don't have any of that. So geez, golly. Okay, so let me show you here. So this pad on the top. Okay, hear the beeping. Okay, so this is ground plane right here, and right in the middle there, ground plane. Over on the other side, this little bit right here, you know, here again, that's the pin that on the other side is part of the ground plane. But this here is nothing. And so if you look at this pad, this trace all the way around here, apparently that section does go to that, but not anything else. It is isolated away from that, but we do have contact there. So what is that? So then let me get over to this. I'll move this out of the way and we'll just sort of focus on this guy. Goes like this. So we'll zoom in a bit. So here is what I have figured out. So you find the data sheet for this, and then what you're seeing is this is an H bridge, and it's split up into primarily, if you think about these two sections right here. So let's do some continuity. What's supposed to happen, and I'll try to put a tiny little data sheet up here. They don't exactly have a pinout per se, but you can see it there now probably, right? So right here should be the coil. These two pins should be the coil that charges, let's say, the switch to pull, you know, the contact over, so that you end up getting continuity between, say, these two. By default, this pin is contacting this pin. These two right here, they're your coils, and they're going to charge up and then pull that over. We should have a resistance between, you're not going to hear continuity, but there is a resistance of about 230-ish ohms, which does corroborate the data sheet. The same thing over here. Now over here, these two by default are contacting. Okay. By default, this one's going down to here, and then the switch over to this one, so we should have continuity between our endpoints right there. By default, resting state of this relay. So the way that I see this is what we probably have is we have these two poles right here and these two over here. If I flick the switch, you know, there's nothing here now. If you flick it, then you're going to get continuity between these two. And if you flick it, you'll get, you know, or you'll flick it, you'll not get continuity here. So by making this an H-bridge, using this, you know, as you would an H-bridge, if you put power input, if you put power into, say, here and ground into here, and then you have an output from here to here going somewhere, or vice versa, if you have, let's say, positive coming in here, you flick the switch, and this will now send positive power, 12 volts, out this to that side of the motor. All right? This down here being ground, if the switch stays in its, well, default state, you'll end up with ground coming out this, going off to the motor. Okay. Now, if you take the switches and the coils, and you charge both up and you flick them around, then this one here, this pin, will now end up connecting over down to this pin will connect over to here, and so then positive will come out this pin and go to the motor, and then this one here will be connected to ground, so then ground will be going out to the motor. So your net effect is positive and negative to the motor goes one direction, DC brush motor. Then hit the relay, flips it around, motor goes backwards. Now, having said that, again focusing on these two pins here and these two pins right here, we could get the thing to function the same way by making these be the inputs, power input, and these being the output, or these being the input and then these being the power output. So it just comes down to how it's wired. So here's what I believe, right? This is not what I'm saying, this is what I'm just trying to figure out. If we come over here to the board then, so where I was saying in the beginning, or a second ago, let me zoom out a bit, sorry. If you match these pins like this, these two are the coils. Okay, so those go together. This one right here is going either to the motor or it is the 12 volt input. Okay, I don't need to know this to plug this thing in, by the way, and maybe get it to function, right? I just wanted to know. So if this is the power input, then if you look over here, it's a little bit kind of weird to focus with, but here is the same pin setup over here for the relay underneath here. Okay. If this here is the power input, then this one right here will get continuity as well. And we got nothing. Alright? Now so then speculating now that that is going off to the motor, then this pin right here, if this and this are these two pins right here, if these two pins are your input, then over here, see here we got the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and this one, then these two will have continuity if this is the power input, because why would they separate the 12 volts into separate relays, right? And there we go. So the theory there being, this is the 12 volt, this is the input. Then this right here being the output matches with that. Okay? This over here being the other output should not match up with that. Okay? Now, this pad again. So this pad here did not make contact with this, which we determined or believed to be maybe ground, or at least it's connected to the pad on the other side, the hole. So it doesn't work there, but if we touch here, we get contact. So this, we're speculating, is the output to the motor. So then it makes this whole entire flood zone right here be the motor output for that section right there. So we come over here, and then this pin right here, you can see that there, continuity there. So then therefore, if we take this here and bring it down here to this pin on the connector, probably then going out to the motor. So maybe that'll be helpful for somebody. At least, and keep that in mind, this is my speculation right now based upon what we see. Seems pretty solid so far. Then over on the other side again, that this flooded zone here makes contact with this, and I've been saying that that's ground. Honestly, I don't know if it's ground. It's just connected to this. It seems like that's probably ground. That goes to this pin right there. Is it supposed to? Now let's go back to this again. This we saw matching like this. So if we take this whole thing and then we turn it around like this, we're now speculating that that other pin right there is the input. So when we roll this over, it would be sitting right there. That pin is the other input, would be this one right here. So here's our two inputs. This one here making contact with that, seems reasonable that this would be the ground input, and that's why we see it, you know, in other places around the board as well. Anyways, so then it feels like to me that we can consider this all common, and at least, I mean, these two being connected is purposeful. It's not a mistake. So I really want to get something on here to cover this, some kind of solder mask. I don't know what I got, even some fingernail polish or something, you know. I don't know if I have any of that laying around. I just ordered an overcoat pen, so anyways, I'm not going to wait for that to get here before I do this, I think. So I'll figure out something there, and we can call this good, that is the ground, and that's going to fit in there, and this pin right here is the input for 12 volts, which is the same common throughout the board. So what I do have, well, had, where the hell did it go? Got a Sharpie. So this should work just fine for covering this up, at least keep it from corroding, so we'll go ahead and do that in lieu of having a nice little overlay pin. We'll just burn through that in a second. So look at this here. I was about to just put the other one in, and then I thought I would, since I just did all this you know, extra learning here to figure out how this thing works, thought I'd figure out what's wrong with the other one. We see this corrosion on the board. We had all that crap, you know, it looks like something spilled on it. Big indicator of some kind of a problem. We see the corrosion underneath here. We tried to desolder, and a couple of pins broke away, you know, and they got more corrosion all over the place. Well, now that we know about the coil, so here again, let me show you this, because it didn't have that in the other shot. If I touch right here for the coils, wait for it to figure itself out, 200, pretty close, 230 ohms resistance on the coil. Then up here with these, waiting, there we go, so 230 again on the coils. Great. So we come over to this one here, and if you can see that there, these are the two pins that came off. We now know those are coil wires. And up here, same. So if I go from here to here, carefully. No. There we go. I was kind of touching something else. So 230 there. And I thought maybe it would work, right? But I can't get anything from it by trying to jab down here in the little holes to get a hold of it. So, okay, no big deal. The coil fried in some way or another, which stands to reason if you get a bunch of crap over here and one of these contacts happens to be 12 volts and you run it through it, yeah, sure, you probably smoke it, right? Now, we do have contact from, let's see, where are we supposed to have contact from? Not from there to there. Oh, here, let's put it on beep. Okay, so there's our continuity there through that set, and then over here, from this one to this one, nothing. Well, yeah, because that one was supposed to be open anyways, but then it would make contact down to here, you see? So there you have that. So that whole default rest state pattern is in existence here and it does work, but we can't charge this coil up to get the flapper to go back. We could get it to go one way, but we can't get it to go the other way. So therefore, we could get the motor to go one direction, we just couldn't get it to go the other direction. What was the problem? The window would roll down, it would not roll up. It would kind of roll up for a bit intermittently, but then, and then definitely roll down, but then it wouldn't go back up. Hit the switch, click it, click it, click it, oh, then finally it went up, and then pretty soon eventually it just wouldn't even do that anymore. And with corrosion and things eating their way through, maybe heating up and causing problems, etc., this really starts to look like the culprit. So I went into this for a fix, but I think I actually figured out what went wrong, so yay. Alright, I'm going to clean this up, which is probably going to wipe all the Sharpie away, so I'll have to redo that again. Okay, that seems to be pretty good. You really want to get yourself some acid brushes. If you normally see me use those, I don't have any right now. But anyways, you get yourself some acid brushes to clip off like about half the fuzzy stuff, and it works really good for doing cleanup. So this is kind of interesting. This died, most likely, because somebody spilt something on it, which ran down in here, right onto here, and caused the leads on this to corrode, and it stopped working. Well, it just so happens that this section of the board right here, if you look at the reflection, is the only section that's not conformally coated. The conformal coating stops right here, and over on the other side, you know, it does cover pretty much most of it, but it kind of runs off the side here like that. So, bummer, right? Right in that one section, they could have just, you know, dunked the whole rest of the board there, and it would have never happened. So let's go ahead and get this put back together. But I did want to mention one thing that I did not mention earlier. I took this thing out, and I very intentionally did not clean this until I was done doing what I wanted to do, because these are our clues, right? And this, I want, you know, is there anything else that causes the problem? You know, you never know, you might see a problem over here and look up inside there and go, oh yeah, there's some kind of crap there. So that's why I left this, but I'm gonna go take this, clean this all off real good, and then we'll stuff it back together and get it back in the car. All nice and cleaned. Make sure when you're cleaning here you don't get rid of your sticker, because you might need this. Gentle. Oh, did I miss it? Yeah, I missed it on one side. There's some little tracks in here that you want to catch. There we go. Okay. I should, there we go, be able to push it in here to where these side clips engage. Done. There we go. Alright. Alright, this is going to be interesting here to show you how to do this. So let's get this put back together here. Here's your little locking clips. I have no idea if I'm in frame or not. Okay, this guy goes in here. It should just smush in. Cake. This little dude right here. Probably gonna have to push him in there. Wow. The window over there, as soon as it just did that, made a noise. So remember, the car is live. Maybe I should have disconnected the main power before doing this. Shit, come on. There we go, push it down and then let it pop up and pull forward. Okay, so that's done. Okay. All right. Whew. The camera's falling. So that's the job done. Let's see if the window works. What could go wrong, you think? Think that's gonna start on fire? Guess we'll find out. Okay, so here is the big moment of truth. Now remember, the window rolled down. It won't roll up. Which actually makes me think that maybe I shouldn't have soldered those over there, because if it doesn't roll back up, then I gotta cut it and I gotta break out a battery again. So here we go. Ha ha! Cool. Okay, let's do it a few times. Look at that. Wait a second here. Maybe it's only when it's on. I thought it auto rolled up. God, how long has it been since I drove my car? Maybe it's only when it's running. Okay. Cool. That is gonna be a wrap for this. I'm not gonna sit here and putting this all back there. I want to get in the house, get to editing this thing, because this has been probably a couple months in the making of this video here, and I just kind of want to get it out. There's enough videos online showing how to, tear cars apart, right? So I am very thrilled. I'm very happy that this is actually working. Very amazed, actually, able to fix that. So if that's something that you're into, that is the module that you need, and that's how you can go about replacing the relays, and a little bit extra about them. So thank you everyone for watching. This was a huge pain in the ass.